call this special meeting to order. You want to take care of the roll call?
Roll call shows Vicki Gabbard, Casey Morris, Darrell Harrison, Rich Wade, and Joel Gabbard in attendance.
Okay. Minutes of the August 21st regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Got that?
We have a minutes page to do any time.
She sent them out with the last agenda, so she just didn't send them out again.
I just didn't know where to sign, the page to sign.
I don't think so.
You talking about today? The signage today?
No, talking about the minutes,
Yeah.
like the back of the minutes, those just the mayor and the clerk.
Okay, second reading of the property tax ordinance.
This is an ordinance, it'll be ordinance 05-2023, an ordinance levying the annual ad valorem tax for city purposes in the corporate limits of McKee, Kentucky. Whereas revised Kentucky Revised Statutes KRS 92.280 requires the legislative body of each city annually levy an ad valorem tax for city purposes, and whereas KRS 92.330 requires that all taxes be levied by ordinance, and whereas KRS 83A.130, 140, and 150 require that the legislative body by ordinance provide for sufficient revenue to operate city government. And whereas the city has calculated the tax rates for real and personal property, which is tangible in accordance with KRS Chapter 132, now therefore be it ordained by the city of McKee, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, tax levy of real estate and personal property. Subsection A is an ad valorem tax rate of 0.1620 cents on each $100 assessed value of real property subject to taxation under the laws of the state of Kentucky is hereby levied for city purposes. Subsection B, an ad valorem tax rate of 0.1620 cents on each $100 assessed value of personal property subject to taxation under the laws of the state of Kentucky is hereby levied for city purposes. Under Section 2, due date, payment, discount, and penalty, all taxes shall be due and payable at the city offices on the first day of December 2023. Taxes paid prior to the due date shall receive a 2% discount. Taxes paid up to 30 days after the due date shall be at face amount. Taxes paid more than 30 days after the due date shall be charged a 10% penalty, and interest at the rate of 6% per annum calculated from the due date. As required by KRS 134.420, liens will be filed against any properties with unpaid taxes, accruing all fees and interest involved in the filing of the lien, if not paid by 60 days after the assigned due date. Section 3 is the effective date and use thereof. This ordinance applies to the 2023 calendar year tax assessment, and all receipts shall be used for city purposes and accounted for in the 2023-2024 fiscal year and subsequent fiscal years in reference to delinquent taxes.
Heard it. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Dylan. Second?
Second.
Second by Vicki. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. First reading of the annexation ordinance.
This will be ordinance 6 of 2023, and I did lay those on your all's table. And this is an ordinance of the city of McKee, Kentucky, stating its annexation of the following described property and declaring that it is desirable to annex the desired property pursuant to KRS 81A and KRS 83A, hereinafter after to be known as the city of McKee's ordinance relating to the annexation of the following described property, to wit, whereas the city of McKee has found and determined that it is in the public interest of the citizens of McKee that the public purpose would be served by annexing the above described property, and the owners of the record of the land to be annexed have given prior consent in writing to the annexation. Now therefore be it ordained by the city of McKee, Kentucky, that the city of McKee declares its annexation of the properties as described below in accordance with KRS 83A.060, KRS 81A, and KRS 831. This is going to be the part of the city farm, and I'm not reading all those parcels. It's going to be the part of the city farm that should be in the limits right now and currently isn't, and then one voluntary consensual annexation that attaches to the far side of that city farm. So parcel A is the city farm, and then parcel B is the landowner request annexation. That's just
You mean on the right, the homeowner?
the
farm.
yeah.
On the right.
There's a map
Yes.
attached to the back.
Yes, that last page has a map, if that helps.
Yeah,
It's like in the back corner of where David Hayes' property
This
is.
is all where the city farm is,
Yeah.
and then we put everything up there.
Any more questions on that?
We need two separate
Go ahead.
motions, or is that?
You guys will vote on it at the next meeting for the second reading.
Okay, yeah, we don't even, it just has to be read.
Yeah, the only other thing that I will mention is we put in a future effective date of November 1st, so it won't take effect on the second reading, it'll take effect on November 1st, because that had to give us our 45-day window for notifying the fiscal court. So, yeah, once y'all vote and pass it, then it'll go into effect November 1st.
All right, any more questions on the annexation? Okay, my report will be brief. We finally did get the city farm bush hog, so I covered like that, it looked pretty good. We're gonna get bids on the truck that's back here, through Gov Deals. I think the only thing we're lacking here on Gov Deals is determining what the mileage is, the exact mileage on the truck. But we'll get that on Gov Deals. And the audits, got some good news there. It turns out that we will be able to get a waiver on the 2017 audits. So those will be on. So all we're waiting on right now is White and Cox to get the 2021 complete. We feel like they've got to be getting close, but same shape we're in. Danielle and Marla have got lists of other accountants in the state that do city audits, and so she's preparing an RFP to get some quotes from other auditors. So maybe the next one, the 2023 audit, will go a little faster. As soon as we get that nailed down, we'll get started on the 2023 audit.
Seems like it's lingered a while, man.
Yeah, considering they first said it'd be finished April 15th, and here we are, almost
I
October.
reckon it's more money right there.
This was the same accountants that the county used, so they've got some, the county has experience with it, and that's why we went with them. But they are apparently notorious for being slow. We're aware of that. Are there any questions for me? Oh, the McKee Ridge, the guardrail. Shane said he'd forgotten about it, but they will fix it. So that's probably coming soon.
Never take too long.
And I believe that's all. Nobody has anything for me. We'll move on to the fire department, please. And somebody will have to give me a lead on that one, because I'm not real sure what's going on. Somebody from the fire department, Kyle, you want to?
It's over the lease on this building up here, and we can't get no maintenance done until something's done with this, one way or the other, pay rent, get out, something. We need heat in the building.
It's what we talked about at the last meeting, that you had asked if I could do it, and I said, no, I can't, you have to be the one to do it.
Yeah. Now, I guess I have to be careful here. We talked about heaters back a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I've just been holding off because of our audit situation. We've got, I figured up, I think it's close to $300,000 being held back because of us. So I'm doing what we can, pay the bills without all the state funding we get on a monthly basis. But I would say that we're gonna have to do something before it gets freezing weather.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something, but there still is the deal with the lease on this building, or the lease on the property, and the building belongs to Fire Department Inc. And I keep being told that we can't do maintenance on the building because the lease says that they are to build and maintain this building. We've used it for 20-something years, what, 21 years? 24 years, and we've done maintenance on this building. And now it's a problem, and we can't do it no more. But I don't think it would be in their best interest to sign the building over. That'd be like me building a $400,000 house and saying, here, I don't like it, you can have it. And if they did sign it over, I mean, you're looking at $1.5 million to build that building back today. Because of all your engineer stuff, the geological studies, the bad impact, I mean, all that's gotta go into play.
So you said they turned it over, who is they?
Inc. Fire Department.
Frank,
We leased them the land, they,
So
Fire Department.
you're saying turn it over to the city?
no, they don't do that. I mean, if the city wants Fire Department Inc. to take care of the maintenance, my suggestion is start paying them rent for the building, or us vacate, one of the two.
Haley, do you have anything?
Yeah, so the way the lease is written up, to be completely frank, I think both sides of this lease have breached the lease in every way. But as it's written, it states that the city of McKee or anybody but Inc. shall not go into that building for any reason unless there's prior written consent given for that. That's my understanding is that's not been done, and then the city really wasn't involved in the building of the building, or shouldn't have probably been involved in any of the maintaining of the building, but they have been. But by the contents of the lease, I don't think that's actually should have been done that way. But I do believe that both parties have breached the lease. I think the lease actually allows for amendments to be made at any time, but that's not been done either. I think there definitely, if the lease is going to stay in place, there certainly needs to be amendments made to that so that they can have what they need, both parties can have what they need. It's just not written that way. It's not written in a way that gives the city permission to do any of those things.
And
So we
how,
could write it where the city would
how is,
maintain the building.
Right.
how was either party in breach of the lease?
Say that again.
How was either party in breach of the lease?
Well, the city of McKee's fire department is in breach of the lease because I don't think there's any prior written consent that they can use that building. I think that, and I don't have any personal dealings with anyone involving this, so I'll say it that way. But I don't think the city of McKee Fire Department has a right to go in, and I think Inc. has a right to, or has an obligation to provide volunteer fire department services under the lease, and I'm not sure that's being done.
Well, the way I see it, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong, McKee Fire Department Inc. has supplied a building rent-free for 24 years. They supplied a truck, a tanker, 3,200 gallon tanker rent-free for 24 years. So they have supplied fire suppression to the citizens of McKee Fire District. Because without that building, we don't have a fire department.
Well, it's all this in writing. It's all what it is.
The actual lease states that that Fire Department Inc. shall perform the normal services that are appropriate for a volunteer fire department to provide. And while I understand what you're saying, and I've certainly provided things to the city, I don't think that qualifies under that lease term.
Well, let me just assure you all, we want the fire department here. We'll do whatever it takes to keep it here. If the city needs to take care of the maintenance, we'll have to obviously make some legal arrangements for that to happen. But if I could just get a list, and a quote would be wonderful on what it's going to cost to get it where you all want it. I mean, we're certainly willing to figure out how to do that. But I think that's the first step, is figure out what needs to be done.
I think the first step is actually getting permission to do it, and I think that's just, Frank has made it
In writing.
overwhelmingly clear he's willing to work with the city, and, we talked about it last meeting, and I think the two of you just need to get together and work this out on behalf of the city, because you're the only two people that can do it.
What do you need? 3 heaters? What do you need?
No, we need the heat and air bolts replaced upstairs.
What would this cost?
Donations have fixed the heat downstairs for now. Donations is currently in the process of trying to fix the heat in the bay, and Donations hooked up the generator that I've waited 7 years to get hooked up.
It's private donation.
Private donation.
Not the city.
Nothing from the city. He don't even, the person that donated the money don't even live in the city or in this fire district.
It's gonna be an extensive list of maintenance because it's been 20 years,
It's
give
been
or
let
take.
go for 24 years. It's
Yeah.
been, it's not been painted. Well, it's been painted, but it needs repainted. It needs all brand new heat systems put throughout it, not repaired complete. Cause the one heater they said they could repair is 35 years old. It needs to be replaced. Because, you know, you repair it, make sure it's out again. And then, just lighting. Somebody went in there and tore the lights that we put in the building originally, which was sufficient to light it, and put back little tiny one bulb fixtures. All the lighting needs to be replaced and
There
stuff.
was fluorescent.
Yes, they had fluorescent in it, it was just like this, you can see in it now, when you go up there, you got to have a flashlight, so you get around.
Well, at the League of Cities conference, there's companies that deal with municipal buildings, they can come in and evaluate the systems there, but we can't even get them, it's my understanding, Haley, that we're really don't even have the right to get them to come in and audit the system to fix it until
There's gotta be,
Who is them?
These
The-
companies that.
the
want-
companies that, you know,
So why don't we have permission?
because you've gotta get with Frank and get this took care of.
That lease
So-
says we can't be in that building.
So, but Frank can tell them to go on the bill.
But
The easiest
Frank's not the
way-
one gonna do it, it's the city's responsibility, so you two just really need to work this out.
If we could just work something out on the lease to where they keep the building and the city does the maintenance on it, and they don't pay rent, they just take care of the maintenance, or the city pays the maintenance and pays rent, and fire department ain't take care of the maintenance.
And where-
How much is the rent?
where the city of McKee can actually go in and be there legally, because right now, I mean, frankly, it's,
Well, I mean, make.
Well,
that-
We do not need any outside company coming in. There's enough local contractors here. This is getting a big crap around here that when outside contractors come in doing work and knocking local people that's paying taxes here out of doing the work.
Well, what was the rent be?
Well, and I think that's something for Frank and the mayor.
That's-
What I'm saying though, if you put heaters, what would this amount to?
We're looking probably at $20,000.
Well, all right,
Right now.
what would the rent be a month if you put a rent on?
That's something that Frank and the mayor have to work out.
That is the basis of why I think we need to get a good handle on what kind of money we talking.
Yeah, you got to
If you want $1 million worth of repairs, then we probably need to figure out something else out. But if it's $100,000 worth of repairs, then I just think that's gonna tie into everything. Let's get an idea of what it's gonna cost.
I don't think you're looking at 100,000 in repairs, I mean,
I think-
lights and.
I think 20 will take care of it if it costs. Might take a little more than that.
Well, Haley, can you go ahead and make an amendment to the lease? I guess amendment to the lease so we can,
what I can do is write an amended lease, talking about some of the things we talked about tonight, and then send it to you, and you guys get together and finalize everything. I can't make the deal, but I can certainly put together a lease that would allow McKee to use it, allow McKee to do maintenance. I can do it both ways, however the council wants to do it, and the mayor obviously.
But they haven't been rent in how long?
24 years.
Or maintenance. Very, very minimal maintenance, just enough to keep the doors open.
well,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of that happening.
We really can't explain to you what happened with the building because of the camera being here.
Well, that's,
Okay? I mean, we could tell you what happened with the building, that's where you need to talk to Frank and explain the whole situation, but because of this being here, no, we cannot do it here.
we wanna do what it takes to get maintenance on the building. I realize, I agree, maintenance has been falling behind for years, and that's just.
And it's very important that that building stay heated, because if we was to have to drain those trucks, then we're looking at 30 minutes filling up before we go on far.
I think, didn't you send me a picture of a tanker truck froze up or something? Somebody.
Yeah, you seen him one last year when they froze up, and when we took it over, I gave it the same spring, so I took it over and got back with it, froze up.
I might have, I can't remember, there's so much going
That
on.
valve that we had to fix on it.
So if Haley, will amend the lease, and then we'll review that. And then once we get that, I'll go over with Frank and whoever else wants to go over it. Meantime, I would really like it if somebody could get a written, some sort of quote, what
Yes.
somebody would do
Yes,
to fix it, a list of what you want done, and we'll get the quote. I'd like to get a handle on what kind of money. Let's get the maintenance caught up to where it needs to be today.
if we get the maintenance, there'd be no rent. City wouldn't have to pay, just upkeep.
You got to do the upkeep, they keep the building, and we do the upkeep, we
But
do maintenance in lieu of rent.
no rent involved if the city upkeeps.
But I think that's what Frank and them wanted anyway, was just the building to be used for what it's intended for, and the maintenance be kept up on it where it can continue to be used for what it was intended for.
So at this point, the way I see it, the city needs to get the maintenance caught up. And then you'll take it over with the maintenance.
No, the city will still continue to do it, or pay rent.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Maintenance and delivery.
It would be in your all's best interest to keep the maintenance up, it'd be far
I
cheaper.
don't honestly think the maintenance will be horrible once we get it caught up. I mean, if you stay on top of things.
But see, the building was built for a firehouse and a shelter. It's listed the Red Cross as a shelter. That's the reason we've been trying to get the generator for years. But we've been told there's no money, we can't do this. Private individuals come in there and paid the money to have it all water. All the city's been out is setting the gas tank. Okay? The upstairs had a police department put in it one time. The former mayor told them to get out of it because it wasn't allowed to be in it, period. But the mayor before that put a police department in it. So that is a shelter area that if something major happens in McKee, we want to make sure we can keep it heated and we can have water there, and these people, anybody that's there can at least have room to spread a cot out and, you know, in that upstairs area and, you know, stay warm or whatever, if something major happens and be in shelter without pulling the trucks out in the street.
This was leased for 99 years.
99 years, subject to be renewed with a payment of $1.
Does all this go in rack?
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Well, is it still believed now the way you all say? They upkeep it. And no rent.
Well, that's gotta be worked out.
When the lease was done, there was no building to upkeep. That's all been, the Inc. portion of this. They built the building and all that. It was just a spot of land, so there was nothing about that. It wasn't included at all, really, in the lease.
It was just the land. The only thing pertaining to the lease is the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, it goes all the way down past the city garage. The city's garage is sitting on that leased piece of property,
Yeah.
which nothing's ever, you know, people around McKee live on a handshake and an agreement, not a bunch of lawyers. So, you know, they went in and built a city garage there, they needed room to put it, and they put it on there. But the land was leased to the fire department.
The Shinky Creek. And
All right, well, that's good to know.
So is that, Haley, is that something that we need to add to the lease and get?
The county garage, I don't know enough about the geographic area. I mean, we'll check into it, but, I mean, obviously, if it's part of this lease, it definitely needs to be
I mean,
dealt with.
this is the opportunity to do it right, so we probably need to do it right and not have to worry about this
I mean, don't.
5 or 10 or 15
nobody
years
wants
from now.
somebody come in here and say something to you all, or Danielle, or whatever, or tomorrow, you wrote a check for this building, it don't belong to you. We don't want that. We want it legal to where that if she has to write a check to replace something in it, then she's covered. Everybody's safe and everything.
I would agree. So Haley's gonna get us a new lease?
Which I'm gonna step in here and say one more thing. Have her get the lease to us, then we'll have another lawyer look it over.
Okay. Well, that would be the wise thing to do.
You need a new lease on the building.
Yeah,
You don't need to amend the lease on the land. There's nothing wrong with that lease. That's not the question.
It's the building.
a new lease.
They just need a lease for the building, because the building has never had a lease in it. Period, is what I'm catching.
It's never been leased, it's being used for what it was intended for, and like I said, the city's always done the bare minimum maintenance on the building to get by. But now that things is going south on it, we need this stuff fixed.
And so there was a little problem come up before, I mean, it ended up costing $3,000 or $4,000 to get it straightened out, and it found back in favor of McKee Fire Department Inc. I know she says that both of them could say they breached it, but when he went to court that time, they said, no, you're the one in violation, the city was. So I say, he cost McKee Fire Department Inc. several $1,000s, and he cost the city several $1,000s. And it was all because just trying to just take over. And that's what, basically, I don't know, Frank can correct me if I'm saying it wrong, that we want to see that does not happen.
Well, I don't see that anything you're asking for is unreasonable. I just, please, somebody give me a.
I think it would be wise for both parties to actually look at the lease on the land, look at the, since we're redoing all this, this is the perfect time to make sure that 20 years from now, the people that replace everybody in this room is not having the same conversation. Get us, if we're gonna redo the lease, look at it, leave everything on the table and make sure that both parties
Yeah,
have the best option for both,
yeah.
however that needs to be done,
But
right?
it's October. The guys that come over and worked on it the other day, I didn't get a chance to talk to them, but the guy that had got them to come there and work on those heaters and check them out was sitting up there talking to me when they were there doing the electric engines, changing it to the generator. And we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks to get it repaired if we could get it okay today. So we're getting into the cold weather that we're gonna have to have heat. We've got one little small electric heater heating a 30 by 75 foot bay that's 16 foot high in the inside. That is not doing it. It's not going to do it, and I'm not going to run up there and fire heaters up in it like that I did last year.
Yeah, he paid out of his pocket last year to fill a 100-pound propane cylinder just to run the propane heaters in there, but when it got down so cold, to just try to keep the trucks from freezing.
But the heaters would be the main thing right now.
Yeah, but it needs painting throughout it. It's been smoking over the years. It wasn't like that when it was turned over. I remember whenever they moved in it or whatever, it wasn't in that kind of shape. They did do some stuff on it, but it needs a complete paint job. And basically that's it, and the heat system worked on it. And lighting, we need to replace the lighting in it.
Well, LED lights now would save you
Well, they
more
say
money.
electricity,
Yeah, it would be,
But I mean, it's just a little bitty rinky dink one light bulb fixtures. There's 6 or 9 of them in the maintenance room. We had 9 fluorescent lights in there. So can you imagine what difference there was in the lighting?
And maybe them there yet now.
No, that's where
There's
now.
a few in the bathroom.
And had somebody go monkey with the switches, all them's gotta be gone over and redone because they don't work right now. I have no idea.
I put bulbs in there. Few times. Them 8 bulbs up there. And they was not there.
No, they tore them out. They tore them out.
There's
One in the bathroom, I think, one of the
a
bathrooms.
couple in both bathrooms, the ones in the men don't work, and the ones in the women's the only ones that still work. Of the 8-foot fluorescent.
Well, it sounds like we need to focus on the heat, so get somebody to give us a quote on whatever it takes to fix the heat and air. If it has to be replaced, it has to be replaced, but, house.
Well, the guy got somebody to look at it, and they told him the one guy said they could actually repair it. Like I said, that building was built in what, 91, Frank? In 1991, that's when the heat was put in it. So that is 34-year-old.
Yeah.
It needs replaced, it doesn't need to be repaired. The other one, they said had to be replaced. It needs all gas heat put back in it, because that was the purpose of gas heat from the beginning, was when you raise a 14 by 20 foot garage door to pull a truck out and it's 20 degrees outside, 2 little electric heaters ain't gonna heat it back up.
They don't recover fast.
Gas is faster recovery.
Well,
Paint from the inside.
Paint, it needs, well, it needs, the doors need.
Outside could use some too.
Yeah, the doors could need some paint too, because somebody went and put the wrong paint on them,
Yeah.
and now they're rusty, because they used the wrong paint they used.
Was there anything else you need from me?
What else do you feel?
Just whenever she gets this copy of this new lease or whatever drawn up on the building, you need to get with Frank, y'all get together, make sure everything looks good, let their lawyer look over what your lawyer done, make sure it's the way everybody wants it, and we'll go from there.
You
Well,
feel
we'll get
these-
the lease worked out, I'm sure. I don't think we have any disagreement, we'll make that work. But my biggest concern is let's get the work started. We'll get the lease done.
I'll-
And it won't take
I'll contact
2
two,
weeks to get it signed. It's-
I'll contact 2 heat companies tomorrow.
Okay, that'd be great, and just get the quote on what it takes to get it fixed, and
Mayor, it'll have to come back before city council unless you take a vote, or unless somebody makes a motion giving you permission to negotiate the lease, and then you can go ahead and do it without. it
I'll
coming
make a
back.
motion to,
Can we vote on that special meeting?
Yes, yeah.
Because, okay, sorry.
then I will make a motion to, what, authorize the
Authorize
mayor
him
to
to
negotiate a
negotiate
lease
and
with Fire Department
and sign.
Incorporated
And sign.
and sign.
Thank you.
I'll second.
we have a motion. And a second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I guess we can call this under the fire department.
Because it pertains to the.
Do you
The
need,
attorney said it's okay, so I'm not.
well, you need a motion made in order for, like, me to get you a quote?
I don't think so. I think you can.
Not unless you expect it to be over $30,000, and then you have to publicly bid it, so.
Well, you need to help them out certain amounts, you can't have it to be $150,000.
It won't be that much.
Well, we're not gonna write a check to receive quote, so.
Yeah.
That's why we need to.
The heat will be one quote, and the painting will be another one, actually, because the heat and air company does not do painting.
Right. Okay, there's no other questions, we need to move on. We'll get it. I think everybody knows what we need to do. All right.
I'm gonna be able to go to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
This is about driving me crazy.
You ought to sit in the firehouse on Friday night and you hear the call come over to, there's a structure fire on West Water Street. And that's where you live. Fortunately, it wasn't our house. Okay, High Street, residence, okay?
This is property that I inherited, well, me and my sister both inherited from my mom.
I'm
It's
sorry.
been in the family, Sandra Lakes, my name's Gina Felty, but my mother was Sandra Lakes, and I said, a lot of these people probably know who I am. This property has sit there since 1965. We've never had a problem as far as slips or anything else. Well, in 19, I guess, is whenever the floods, eastern Kentucky, and that's whenever they allocated money from FEMA. This road had had several problems to start with because it was not maintained. And this is a way that people can come from McKee around through McKee Ridge, if there's anything on 421 that they can need to bypass. But as I could see in the pictures that I got the records, but as I can see in the pictures, you can tell that the road's not been maintained. I mean, the trees
This
was
was over
over
for
top
the
of
first
it.
time, like maybe 2 weeks ago, in the past 3 years anyways.
But when- Yeah, but when they excavated in this one area to do the culvert that had been worked on before, because they had, I don't know how many years ago, that they had to they just repaved it. They didn't replace anything that I know of. But then it washed out in 2019, because there were several wrecks on that road, right there in that curve. They had to pull them out of that ravine down in there.
I don't know if you even know how that road actually was before you came. There's off the hill that comes,
Like a branch.
a branch that comes down,
Water
and there's two properties, one side and this side. Well, it washed the entire road out, so for the longest time, there was maybe 3 foot of blacktop next to the back of the house side of the road. So then they came in and repaired that. In amongst repairing that, they also ripped dirt from the side
Yeah,
of
they
the
ditched
hill.
down through there.
You know, just left it raw, no rocks, no grass, nothing. So, comes a good rain, what happens? It washed the front of that bank, so therefore now, since that one little bit started sliding, everything else is starting to drop. So now it's up to the fence line of the house. But through the years of it sitting there, there's never been a bank slip, nothing, no raw dirt showing, no fear of anything going anywhere. Now we're sitting here with the side of the bank rolling off of the hill because when they redone the road and they blacktopped everything, dropped the gravels, they took the excavator or whatever and pulled that side of that dirt from the bottom of the hill where it sat, left it gapped with an overhang of this much, sitting over where they took it out. So this come forward, and here we sit today.
If you could drive around by there, you could see that.
Oh, I've
what
been
we're
up
talking
there
about.
several times.
But, I mean, it's never had a problem before, and that's what we couldn't understand. But you can see the side where he excavated is where the slip started. And whenever it started, it's gonna continue, you know, until, and you know, I know you said something about the gutters and all that, I've had that put on, it's not stopping.
Was that the road repair, the FEMA road repair
Yeah.
project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something that is there a bond being held from that project, or is it all completed, or do we need to look at whoever did the work and make sure it was done properly? That sounds,
That's the FEMA, that's the.
Phillips.
The
Phillips
thing that
excavated.
should have been done is there should have been rocks put back in that bank that he took off and left that little bit of that ledge on it. That's where the issue started.
Yeah, I was assured by the last administration that that would be done in the process of that.
Yes.
That it would be shored up, secured, where that would not, because that was one of my concerns when they started working on it. It was 21 when they actually fixed it. It was 19 whenever this happened. So all that water was building up, eroding all that earth up that bank and up in that waterway. So that.
So are you saying the erosion started before the road was repaired?
No,
Not on the house lot, not on the living lot, no.
no, it took out the culvert and the roadway and the ditch right there in that culvert. But until he actually come up there and excavated, there was no slip, there was nothing until he, now, years ago when my grandfather lived there, they bought it in '65. He wouldn't allow them to ditch it. He would go in, clean it out himself, so that way that bank wouldn't slide, because it is a steep incline. So whenever that happened, you know, he was, you know, I can't understand why that wasn't done, because like I said, the prior administration told me that that was gonna happen, you know, and all the rest of that culvert and stuff is still laying up there.
Yeah, he threw it over the hill. All the tiles, all the stuff that they got rid of, he just tossed it over the bank.
The new tiles? or-
No,
The old tiles, instead of
everything
them
is
getting
still
rid
laying
of
beside the
it,
road.
they just left it.
And that needs to be removed, because somebody comes run through there and hits that. Yeah.
normally on those FEMA federal projects, they hold,
It was a baby one,
Okay.
and
So there was-
we paid it up front. With FEMA, you pay up front and you get reimbursed, so.
See, we waited on, I was being told that they was waiting on the FEMA money. Well, they're holding the FEMA money, we're not getting it done, you know, it's gonna take a while to get this started. You know, and I understand that, because whenever you're dealing with the government, you know, I know that that's gonna happen, but.
And for a minute, they kept saying, it's the county road, and the county said it's the city road, and it was that back and forth, and I told John myself, I said, regardless of who it is, we pay taxes for everything.
We need it.
So can somebody get something in motion,
See,
you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
there was a metal postage there, see, you know, see, maybe.
I think the slip is about within a foot of the porch.
Yeah, I'd say by now it's probably not right, but it took the fence
What-
post to the corner now.
What do you all think the solution would be? I know you're gonna say fix it, but
Well, the solution would be going in there and just like, you know, I've talked to several excavation people, you know, they need to go in there and take that slip out and rock it, or put some of that channel rock in there to stop that slip.
well,
Something to secure it up.
let me just tell you where I would love to fix it. But I've been told the state engineers have said that's private property. Now, I understand where you're saying the work caused the problem, and I'm not doubting on that, but we had Gordon, Gordon Phillips, who did the work, tell us he didn't disturb that area. So I'm
But he
kind
did.
of wondering here, I don't
If you
think.
look at the pictures, and you can go up there and look at it now, and you can tell that he went over on private property in order to ditch that.
Do you have?
Because it
pictures?
says,
You have pictures in your files.
yeah,
I mean, we've
Before and
got,
after- Before and after we got those?
I don't know about before, but you
Well,
got
I
the
haven't seen
after.
those, so give me a chance to look at those. Haley, have you looked at this at all?
I have not. You cannot, there's some of these pictures that you cannot even tell what they are.
But the one shows plainly where all the grass is gone about 2 foot up on the side of the bank that comes down and meets the road where he swiped it, which is what started slipping initially. And then whenever it was brought to the attention, there was no moves made, so now it's been months and months, and it's all slipping now. But if somebody would've came up whenever it initially was 2 foot of a slip, wouldn't be said there was a whole hillside tore off.
Never had Gil to read,
Until Gordon went up
This
there,
is in front of it.
tore out what was left of the old tiles and started replacing.
is that?
He scraped that hillside and caused the gale.
Raymond, or Raymond.
Yeah, you're right at the end of the house where the Malako's property starts,
Yeah.
right there.
Around here since I've been on this side. This is the property.
It's, that's what I've been saying since that it was just a 2 foot slip.
But it hadn't Gil till they got
This is-
There was nothing that moved on that hillside until that happened.
I've lived on and off that property with my mom and daddy for 58 years. I'm 68, and I was moved there when I was 10 years old. That hillslide, it never slid one
Nothing.
over that hill. in
I had
all
a
those
whole,
years.
the whole side of my house fell in there behind Ronnie Opalhurst's old house. I woke up one morning and there was 40 yards of it, 10 foot wide, the whole thing just slid.
And the Catholic Church,
I mean, it's just something.
we had begged them and begged them to fix that road. Every time we run up on anybody, you know, that we thought could fix it or would help. We begged them to fix it over the years, you know, and then, like I said, in 2018, 19, it went, but they blocked it off, we couldn't even drive through there, Gina got stuck, my, son got stuck, there's several got stuck in that culvert where that was so bad there. And the more they let it go, and then when they came in and dug, it just,
And right now, that curb has nothing guardrail wise, and the other night, there was a side by side come through there, missed that whole thing and smashed up against a tree.
And they went for a while, we're down where Pearl.
She's got pictures, let me just let her.
yeah.
Quite a while for 60.
Meantime,
see, well, this is right after the 6th. And see, they go this way.
You
You can see how they start coming down after that. Yeah, that's the
It was all that water coming off the end, washed that tile out from under
They
the
cut out.
blacktop, and then it started breaking slide and slide on the front, you know.
It started
Yeah.
slipping down
Exactly.
there.
It let it give, it let the, just the whole entire work let it give and not putting any support back to it. This is what we've got, you know.
This right here is our property running.
Not on the house side, but on the front side.
Well, hell, not too many of them.
I don't think so. How many posts is there? Do you-
Not many.
You
No,
don't see
not a lot.
men.
Yeah.
Not many at all.
I was trying to think if they even put posts in that side. I know up the ways, there's some posts there with some stuff, but now I don't know exactly in that curve. If you want to drive up there, Jewel, on your Dairy Queen brakes and take a look. I see you every day.
Oh, hate to break. Without saying.
Just be careful going over, because when you get to the end, there's a big.
Hit that with a snowplow.
That used
Yeah.
It's
They
exciting.
put a speed bump in there one time
So
to
did
get
you
people to
put
slow down. And when they did that, people come around and just jumping.
And turn,
And they was
and
like,
clean it off. Somebody was there one time and cleaned the whole entire driveway off and dropped sand. I was like, man, Jesus. But that was before the road was actually.
Yeah, yeah, I have to, because that's the only way to turn around.
I know it. Well, thank you. I appreciated that. You just don't know. I was so happy.
Oh, okay, the tree's
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Daniel, Joe wants to know if you got a key to the hole up
Which door?
there. Bathroom door, I guess. Bathroom, Joe? Yeah.
Hey Shannon, will you go unlock?
Well, we're, Daniel, is going to start tomorrow, get quotes to get it fixed. I guess my concern has been, I've been told by everybody, private property. But we're
Okay.
gonna look at,
Section 242 in the municipal law of Kentucky, that it says that it requires whenever any city exercises the privilege of taking the private property for purpose, then they make just compensation for the property for injured or destroyed. So would they not be responsible for fixing it?
that's a lawyer question.
I think that I think there has to be a finding by this, I almost said this quote, I'm sorry, about this council, that this, injury was caused by the city's, repair, the initial repair. And once that's done, I think then the city can enter in and fix that upon the signing of a liability waiver, if that's what the city chooses to do.
Okay, so we are gonna get quotes to get it fixed as soon as possible. And I think in that quote, we're gonna see what we can do to get High Street fixed. I can't promise that would be done right away, but this is obviously an emergent problem that we need.
And it's an excellent road if something's going on, say like parades and things like that, that people can go around.
It's also an excellent road when a tree falls over and you can't get out the other way, and you
Yeah,
can't
you
go
can't
that
go
way
either.
either, you're hurt.
Yeah.
That happened.
I mean, we went through this whole time whenever my mother was sick and she was going to Lexington for cancer treatments and all this other stuff. We went through the worst time, you know, especially in the wintertime, you know, because there's ways in and ways out. And, you know, it was a struggle. So I would love to see it fixed and fixed right, because I don't think this road's been taken care of the way that it should be. And
Well, feel free to come back at the next council meeting and hold us to account.
Okay.
We have started the process.
Maybe the next council meeting though, because people have not been very responsive with quotes, so. It'll get a little bit of time. Like I promise I'll put it on like top of my to-do list, but.
okay, and what about getting that debris removed, that old culvert and all that stuff that's laying there beside the road, because they're concrete culverts.
I'll tie that into
Yeah.
whoever
They replaced another tile before we
They're laying
actually
beside
got
the
to where the road was damaged, and they took that tile out and just thrown it, which is in the old Frankie Moore's house, is the only way I know of it, but that tile is thrown right there. All the big real concrete tiles are just dropped over at the end of the driveway,
Yeah.
there at the house.
We turn around and go back out the road.
No, all the junk has been set there ever since.
Why are these jobs not being inspected?
Well, that was
You
last
know, you're
administration.
paying these people to do these jobs. Why is somebody not going out and saying, hey, it's done? Or, hey, he didn't clean up his mess, or, oh, he cleaned up this whole yard for these people.
I can't speak for everybody, but that may be why they're not in office anymore.
There you go. That's exactly, that's what I said.
Can I bring up another road that
Yeah.
was on the same FEMA grant? Was
Well,
that one of
I
those?
don't think so.
Was it McKeeman?
No, we can't.
Oh, yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
You can,
You can only bring up what's on the agenda.
No.
Oh, yeah, what's on the agenda.
That road, you fix it.
Well, let me,
Oh, I can fix it.
let me take care of this, and I'll talk to you about that. Is there anything else on the high street? We'll get quotes, get it fixed, and go from there. If not, the next thing is adjournment.
I'd